Hi, this is Lainey Cameron. I am here with KJ Dell'Antonia. I'm so excited because I just read this book, and KJ, it is so dang funny and heartwarming, and it's a gorgeous novel. Well done.
Thank you. I worked really hard.
And for those who don't know, you also run a writing podcast called Am Writing. And so I'm kind of excited to talk to you about your writing advice as well, because you've heard so many iterations of different advice that I'm fascinated on what you've learned along the way.
Oh, yeah, that'll be super fun. We have learned a lot. We've done 280 episodes and talked to everyone from David Sedaris, whose advice is, mind you, terrible, and to the best advice comes from people who are just kind of like people like me, people who are just achieving their dreams because they have been, they've been not there and now they're there. Richard Russo, he's great, but he doesn't remember not having an agent and a yeah.
Isn't that
And
the
it's
truth?
like 1970. So it's not even the same. So yeah, the best advice always comes from people who are just a little past where you want to be.
That's such a great way to put it. So let's talk about your debut novel, which just came out this week, The Chicken Sisters. So tell me about the book and where the inspiration for the idea came from.
So the fundamental story in the book involves two fried chicken restaurants in the same small town in Kansas. They are run by rival families, and at the moment they're going to be run by rival sisters because it's the story of a small town, two sisters raised by a mother who's, she's got her problems, and one stayed and one went, and they have a constant lifetime battle over which one made the right choice. The one who stayed married into the other chicken restaurant's family, and she gets inspired to call up a reality TV restaurant competition with the prize of $100,000 and pit chicken frannies and chicken mimis against each other for who has the best fried chicken in the tiny town, in the state of Kansas, wherever. And the inspiration for this came in two places. First, there are two fried chicken restaurants, Chicken Annie's and Chicken Mary's, and anyone from a certain part of southeastern Kansas is going to recognize those. My folks are from that town, or it's actually two twin towns that those restaurants are in. So I grew up with this sort of really weird, like, why are there two chicken restaurants with the same name, but they're not related? And why do we only go to Chicken Annie's? When I started thinking about it fictionally, I very firmly stopped my mother from answering any of those questions. So there is a real story behind those restaurants. It is not the story of the Chicken Sisters. I just took off from it. And I guess the secondary inspiration is that I went to high school. I was born in Texas, actually, but I went to high school and middle school in Kansas, and wanted nothing more than to get out of there. And now, as an adult, I live in a tiny, tiny town, admittedly in New England, but it isn't as different as people think it is. And I see the advantages to the way that I grew up. And I wanted to write about that feeling that we all have of wanting to get away from the place that raised us, and yet, really valuing the place that raised us.
Oh, I think you captured it really well. And let's take a quick peek at one review because I love what the reviews are saying about this book here. And one thing I saw in all of the reviews is people talking, A, about how funny and heartwarming it is, B, people talking about the sister dynamic and how you really nailed that sister dynamic. And I felt that way, even though I'm an only child, I felt that way so much also as I was reading it.
Especially, I'm an only child too, but I got 4 of them. So I guess maybe I got it.
And so here's just one review as an example, which I thought captured it really well, from Laura Zigman. Complicated family relationships is what you're really good at. And the sisters angle, the fried chicken angle, which had me wanting to eat the entire way through the book, by the way. And I love her description here. The comfort food of novels, warm, memorable.
Yeah. Yeah, that made me feel really good. That's kind of what I was going for. I love this. I wrote what I love to read. I love to get immersed in a complicated family story. I love it if there are multiple generations. I prefer that people behave like sometimes I prefer that people behave like adults to some extent, No, if a novel character behaved like an adult the entire time, that would not be a novel. But like, I like people who are having the kinds of problems that you have, even when you've sort of done a lot of things right, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like both of these characters are really relatable and they make some bad decisions at various points, but they're also really characters you want to love, right? Like you could relatable is probably the best word. Yeah.
But I did spend a lot of time going, okay, what would be the stupidest thing she could do at this moment? Like, what would be the thing that the devil on the shoulder would tell her to do? And then they would do that thing, and then we would go from there.
So, talking of which, we both know that books go through tons of editing from the beginning to the version that comes out into the world. Is there anything that changed in the Chicken Sisters, got cut, got added, big revisions? Like, what might a reader not guess?
So the original story was super, super complicated. It was too complicated. And one thing that was in there before that had to go, and I kind of do miss, is that Frankie, the teenage daughter of Amanda, one of the characters, had a much larger role. For a long time, she had her own YouTube channel. She helped Amanda with her makeup, and then she actually sabotaged the Mimi's kitchen at one point, and that just got it was too much. We didn't need it, but it was fun.
Oh yeah, I could see how it wasn't kind of core to the story, which is about these two sisters, right? Trying to work through this and trying to work through their own issues as well while they're competing on this reality show.
Right. It needed to be Amanda that everything that Amanda did to May needed to be done by Amanda, and everything that May did to Amanda needed to be done by May. So roping Frankie in there just didn't work. But I know a lot more about her than the reader does.
So, what have you been reading recently? What have you managed to enjoy?
Oh, I've read some really, really great stuff. I will say I loved spoiler alert. And I didn't look up the author's name, but if you like romance at all, this one is, it's so fun. It's about two characters that write fan fiction for a very Game of Thrones-like TV show. But the one twist is that one of the characters actually is on the TV show, but nobody knows he writes this very critical fan fiction. So that's spoiler alert. And I loved that. And I have also, if you're a Jane Austen fan, I just finished The Other Bennet Sister. It is as close to what would happen if Jane Austen came back and was like, I really shortchanged Mary Bennet. I'm going to give her her own story. And so the first third is like the Rosencrantz of Guildenstern of Pride and Prejudice. It's from Mary's eyes, and every so often, one of the scenes, like the dialogue, will drop in to the story. But now you know why Mary is saying these super obnoxious and really annoying things. Mary is super obnoxious and annoying. And then she gets her own story, and it's so, so good. It was just what I needed. So that one's The Other Bennet Sister.
Awesome. Well, let's talk writing advice because you hear so much of it. And like you say, those who are just one step ahead have the best advice, right? I'm giving a lot of advice right now to people who are just trying to get that first book published and understanding all their options, for example, because I just went through that conversation and had to make my own decisions. So what about for you? What advice do you give to people one step behind?
My favorite advice centers around the actual writing, which is whatever it is that you're trying to write, whether it's fiction or nonfiction or even an essay or a short piece, it's to find a model that you think was done really, really well and dissect it, like tear it up. I mean, I literally at some point, I'll tell you, it was one of Catherine Sinter's books. I literally took the first chapter and was like, okay, how much time did she spend on this? And how much time did she spend introducing to this? And then I would be like, okay, I felt like I really knew this secondary character in this book. How many times did that person actually appear? Because it's hard to separate your reader experience and your writer experience. So to look at something that you have read and loved with your writer eyes for a second time can tell you what you do and don't need to do in your own work. It works really well if you're trying to get an essay into a publication too.
Let's look at how folks can follow you, and you are doing so many fun things in the world. If folks are not listening to the Am Writing podcast, I'll put the link in the video too. It's awesome. You have so many great people on there, and you provide such great ideas and advice. I love it. But they can follow you at KJDA on Instagram or kjdell'antonia.com, your website. And I know you're sharing lots of fun things around the launch here.
Around the launch, but normally my Instagram is a bookstagram. It's constant book advice. If you were to tune into it right now, I'm doing 12 days of 12 days of books to give for Bookstagram. So I'm putting lots of great book gifts out there for people.
Awesome. And go get the books, folks. Go get the book, folks. The Chicken Sisters. I can tell you it's a 5-star read. I need to write my own review actually today or tomorrow. It's funny, heartwarming, sisterly, great gift if you've got a sister in your life for Christmas. Be a fabulous Christmas gift. Well, thanks for joining me today, KJ.
Thank you. This was fun.